Hey guys, today's video is going to be about eyeshadow palettes with my absolute favorite color stories. This is a video I've wanted to film for a while. I've definitely seen other people do this, and I've also seen there was a tag that I did by Angelica Liramar where one of the questions was, what palette has your favorite color story in it? So I went through my collection and picked out palettes where I just feel like the color combinations are inspiring and beautiful to me. Even though the individual shades themselves may not be unique, but there's just something about the combination of them in the palette that I just find really interesting and beautiful. So yeah, I just thought this would be fun to share. Let us know what palettes have your favorite color stories. And I have a whole eyeshadow palette playlist where I have tons of videos talking about different palettes, best neutral palettes, best affordable palettes, all of that. And I've done tons of ranking videos. And I'm currently doing a reviving old eyeshadow palette series where I'm doing get ready with me's with older palettes. And I did film this look as a part of that. So I will link all of that in the description box so you can check that out, and let's get started. I'm going to start with the palette that I'm wearing. Like I said, I did film this look for the Reviving Old Eyeshadow Palette series, and that is the Juvia's Place Magic Palette. I just love this color combination. I think it is so beautiful. It's so awesome how it's cool tones and warm tones. It's mostly colorful. There's really only like 2 or 3 neutrals in this whole thing, but they're not bright rainbow colors. I don't know. There is just something about this I absolutely love. And I did mention in this Get Ready With Me that I do feel like the metallics are way better than the mattes, and I just like the color selection of those a little bit more anyway, but these shades are just beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I think individually, I will say some of these are pretty unique in my collection. Like this amazing periwinkle is so awesome, and I love this teal. Yeah, there's just something inspiring about the pinks in here with the gold and the teals and like the frosty blues. I don't know, I really like it, and I do feel that this color combination is really, really interesting and unique. This next palette is definitely not as unique as the Magic palette, but I like the color combo in here, and that is the Urban Decay Born to Run. I think this is a great palette full of a lot of warm neutrals, but also some beautiful pops of color that make sense with the color story. I don't love palettes that are like all neutral and then there's like a neon blue that doesn't really seem to fit with the rest. I don't like that. I feel like this one is very cohesive as far as the color story. And I think that because the colors in here are more subdued, like this green and this blue, it matches well with the rest of the palette. And that's what I love about this palette. I love the formula too. It's really, really great. But there's just something about the subdued colors with the warm neutrals. I don't know. I just think it looks nice. And yeah, I find this combination pretty inspiring as well. I have to say, I do think Juvia's Place has a lot of really interesting color stories. I know some people feel that some of their palettes are kind of like randomly arranged, but I don't know. I like their color combos, and I think they do some unique color combos. This one I love. This is the Saharan by Juvia's, and I've recently had this in using my eyeshadow palettes project pan, which is a Shop My Stash style project. I'll link that if you didn't see that. Basically, I use each palette 10 times and then I come back and show pictures of different looks. And the looks I did with this palette, oh my gosh, I loved them so much. Yeah, I just think this is a really fun palette, and there's a lot that you can do with it. And even though the shades are definitely not crazy colorful, they're very bold. Like this gold is very intense. So are these like reddish shades. Then you've got a burgundy, a dark teal, a rose gold. This is a really good palette, and I do think I must say, having just done this Get Ready With Me with the Magic palette, I do feel like the formula on this one is easier to work with than the Magic palette, particularly the mattes. It's just, yeah, I love this color story. I love how it's not that colorful, but they're very bold. It's so fun. The looks that I got with this palette, yeah, I was really, really in love with, and I'm impressed with this one, and it's a really fun combo. Then we have the Vizier Boheme Dream, and this is an all shimmer / metallic palette, but these shades are they're really, really fun, and it's kind of a rainbow palette, but again, it's not like bright neon colors. Like some of them are more bright, like this pink and this lime green, but a lot of them are a bit more on the subdued side, which I really like. I like kind of half neutral, half colorful looks. And even though I do often add in matte shades from other palettes when I use this one, I don't know, there's just something about, I think it's the way they're arranged that this one really inspires me. How you have got like the gold and burgundy here, and then like the green and the pink and the blue. I don't know. Something very aesthetically pleasing about the layout of this palette. I just really, really enjoy it. And I do think that, like I said, I think that's one of the really fun things about palettes. Even if each individual shade is not unique per se, there is something about the layout and the combination that definitely inspires me. And obviously you can do that with single shadows too, but sometimes I'm not always the most like creative when it comes to coming up with color combos. So that is definitely something I love about palettes, is that, yeah, they just kind of like motivate me to kind of do something different. So I don't know. I love eyeshadow palettes. Can you tell? Next up, Metropolis palette. I think as far as color combos, this one is my favorite from Natasha Denona. Some of her other palettes I really, really love. Obviously, I love the bronze palette. I just did a Get Ready With Me with that one, and I love the glam palette. Those are a bit more monochromatic, so I don't think the palettes tell as interesting of a story, if you will. But even though this color combo has been done a million times over, out in the palette world, there is something about just, I don't know, the layout, the colors chosen. It's just really, really nice. I love the combo of the greens with the golds, and some of these lean kind of greenish gold, which I love. The pops of blue are really nice. This mustard shade, I don't know. Some people may think this looks a bit haphazard, but when I look at this combo, I don't know, I feel inspired, and I like the layout of this one a lot, even though it looks a bit random. But that's one of the cool things about the Natasha Denona palettes, is that she has arranged them to where like any 4 shades, like these 4 or 4 like this or going like this, make up their own little color stories. So she's kind of designed them like that. I think that's a really cool idea. So if you're not sure, if you have a Natasha Denona palette, you can just pick like any 4 like this, and I'm sure the look will turn out great, because that was, you know, kind of how she intended it. But yeah, this one is great, and I think color story wise, it's definitely my favorite out of the Natasha Denona. I recently raved about this palette too in my Using My Eyeshadow Palettes project pan, but again, there's something about this palette that inspires me and motivates me to do something fun, and I just love it. And that's the Sigma Untamed palette. Oh, I loved the looks that I did with this, and I just think it's so fun because it's kind of interesting how they have like a bit of like little monochromatic duos kind of going through, like this lavender matte with this lavender shimmer. Here you have 2 more like rosy burgundy shades. Here you have more 2 pinkish shades. I don't know. And then like the 2 greens. I think it's really neat. I like that. So if you're not sure, you could easily just take like any of these 2 going this way, and I'm sure the look would turn out great. Or obviously you can kind of mix and match. One of my favorite looks that I've done with this palette is this shade in the crease, this one all over the lid. It's just beautiful. I don't know. Yeah, and when I look at this, it is, again, there's something to me about palettes that are aesthetically pleasing to look at. I mean, that definitely draws me in. And I will say, also, packaging is part of that aesthetic when it comes to palettes. That packaging can often draw me in as well and make me want to buy a palette more. But I do think that it's not just the shades, but it's how they're arranged and combined and laid out. So I don't know. I think this one is very well done. Plus, I mean, the formula is amazing. I really like this updated Sigma formula that they've been doing in the last like 2 years. I think it's fantastic. This is one of the few larger palettes that I think is still well curated, and that's the ColourPop So Jaded palette. I don't like the idea of a palette with like a million shades and then there's a bunch of repeats, or they're all just, you know, every color of the rainbow. I feel like those type of palettes lack creativity, but for a larger palette, I think this one was very well designed. You've got some beautiful greens, you've got the burgundy red, and it stays within the theme. I think the whole gemstone theme, I don't know, I think this was well done. I think it was a really fun idea because it makes sense within the theme. You can do really, really fun looks, but it's not like a giant palette full of random colors. I don't know. I think this one is really, really well thought out. And I think this is one of the better formulated out of the ColourPop palettes, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have said that maybe their formula is not as good as it used to be. I haven't bought a palette from them in a very long time, but I think this one is really nice. And yeah, I think this one is a really good palette as an example of like a theme well done. It was like well executed, well thought out, and yeah, I just think the combination makes sense. Then I want to talk about the BH Avocado Toast palette, and this is one that I've done to get ready with me for the Reviving Old Palettes series also. And again, there's something about this color combo that I really, really like. And it is a mostly like green is obviously the theme of this palette, but I've said before, my palettes that are super monochromatic, like the ColourPop Lilac You a lot. I love that palette, but all you can get is purple looks out of that, which is great. I love purple eyeshadow, but I don't reach for it that often because there's just not enough variety for me. This one has a lot of greens, so you can do a really intense, bold look, or you can add in a little bit of like peachy pink, a little bit of orange. You can subdue it a little bit. I don't know. Again, I think that this one makes sense. And this one, like the So Jaded, I do feel like it's also a well executed idea because it stays within the theme of the avocado toast and the whole like brunch theme. The colors make sense, like the names make sense. I don't know. Every look I've done with this palette, I absolutely love. And again, I mean, BH Cosmetics, I will say, I mean, one of my favorite formulas. So yeah, this one is really, really nice. And I like that it's a green palette, but with some variety. So you can do looks that are more than just like an all green look. Then we have the e.l.f. Retro Paradise, and this one is not around anymore. Unfortunately, this was their limited edition palette from last summer, but this combo is amazing. I love it. And I do think that it does kind of like tell a summery story, if you will. It's just really, really beautiful. Definitely like an ultimate summer palette because you've got the pool blue, like this beautiful spring green, a lavender, and then these really warm reds and golds. Yeah, I like this combo as well. I think this is great. I have been disappointed by e.l.f. eyeshadows many times in the past, but not with this palette. I think this one is beautiful and it's just a fun combo. And yeah, it made sense for a summer palette. I have to say, again, this one has a really fun layout and color story. And yeah, I really like this one. 2 palettes left, and this is one of my favorite palettes in my collection, and I really need to get more use out of it. The Colored Raine Queen of Hearts. This palette was super popular on YouTube several years ago, and there's just something about this color story that just really, I love it. I really love it. I love burgundies and reds and purples. Also, this formula is amazing. I mean, this is one of the best formulated palettes in my collection. The shades are just amazing. The metallics are really metallic and the mattes are very easy to blend, even the more like bright and colorful ones. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about like these royal purples with the gold, with this like orangey color. I don't know. It's really fun. And every look I've ever done with this palette, I really, really love it. Again, this is one I do want to do for the Reviving Old Palettes series just because I think it's so beautiful. So this is one where if you like purples and warm tones, I don't know, there's something about the combination of like red and purple. I really like that. I did an eye look a few weeks ago that was like reddish kind of orange in the crease and purple on the lid. I don't know. That's a really, really beautiful combo. So yeah, this one, it's fantastic. And last up, the Sigma Enchanted palette. This is a really beautiful color story. And for my collection, this one is pretty unique. This is very ethereal. Several of these shades are duochromatic. I don't have a lot of colors like this in my collection. And yeah, this just, it definitely gives that like enchanted forest vibe. Again, I think this is one that's really, really well done as far as the color selection. The shimmers are just very ethereal and sparkly. And then you've got this beautiful like dark hunter green. I love that shade. Yeah, these like kind of greenish duochromes here, this purpley one. Yeah, they're just really fun. This palette is really nice to kind of layer a couple different shimmers together. That's what I like to do with this palette. This one is currently in my Shop My Stash, and I haven't used it yet since I put it in my Shop My Stash. I really need to do that because yeah, this is just, yeah, very like ethereal, and I imagine a sparkly fairy wearing this palette. That's kind of the vibe that I get, and I really like that vibe. So yeah, this one is really fun. That is it for this video. I just really like the color combos in these palettes, and I think they tell a fun story, and they all kind of motivate me to do something more fun and interesting. So let us know what palettes have your favorite color stories, and I will link this makeup look. Like I said, I did film this for the Reviving Old Palettes series. So that is it. And then you can also check out my eyeshadow palette playlist because I've got a lot of eyeshadow palette videos. That is it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.